Hello and welcome to Daily Records. I am Tommy Burton and we are talking about the Beatles for the month of July. And we are going to talk today about a recent solo Beatles album, New by Paul McCartney. This was new. This is the 16th studio album released by Paul McCartney. It came out on October 14th, 2013. And this next day in the United States. So the UK actually beat the Americans on this one. Now, this was the first album Paul had done since the 2007 release, Memory Almost Full. There's the back, front. Very stylish. This was produced or executive produced by Giles Martin, but it also featured production from Giles, Mark Ronson, Ethan Johns, Paul Epworth, and so there's a plethora of. Is Paul looking happy there, showing you the guys asleep. Now there was a single, this title track, and this album was generally well received, critics and fans. It hit the top 10 on the UK album charts and on the US Billboard charts. Now, he really wanted to work, Paul McCartney kind of wanted to do some work with some different producers. And he kind of wanted to do sort of a trial recording with these guys, and then he was going to select the best and record a whole album. And so what he ended up doing was recording with all four. Like I said, Mark Ronson, Ethan Johns, Paul Epworth, and Giles Martin. Now, Giles did produce the majority of the tracks, and he's credited as the executive producer. And he recorded in several places. Henson Recording Studios in Los Angeles, Avatar in New York. He recorded at Abbey Road, Air Studios, and Wolftone Studios in London. He also recorded at The Mill. And so he started in January of 2012 with Paul Epworth. He came back to Abbey Road with Ethan Johns. Recorded with Mark Ronson around January of 2012. Again in July, kind of went around. And recorded with Giles at Air Studios. Now, Ronson kind of came about in an interesting way. He had been a DJ at McCartney's wedding to Nancy Sheville a couple of years earlier, and he was actually sort of tied up with his own wedding around that same time, and he almost forgot to call McCartney back. Could you imagine? Forgetting to call Paul McCartney. So a few months later, he calls, or he's at a DJ at another Paul McCartney thing, and Paul says, "Hey, dude, come to the studio. Let's record." And so he does. And so recorded a couple of songs. New song called "Alligator" that's on the album, and "The Secret Life of a Party Girl," even though that one is not one of the songs on here. Now it is a varied album. It's there's a little different styles, but it's ultimately a Paul McCartney album. Very just pop, melodic. This album's not going to blow you away, but you know what? For a 70-something-year-old guy, not bad at all. And McCartney really doesn't owe us anything brilliant at this point, as long as he just keeps doing what he's doing. And so I like this album quite a bit. It's really energetic. There's a lot of joy on the album, and it's even got some throwbacks, like a song "On My Way to Work." It sounds kind of Beatlish. There's a song on here called "Early Days." It's sort of a memoir. It kind of recalls George Harrison's all those years ago. So it's interesting, and it's a worthy album. Definitely in the upper deck of McCartney's solo material. So it's not Band on the Run. It's not as good as anything he did with the Beatles, but it's definitely above average. And we're talking about Paul McCartney. We probably hold him to a higher standard. So new, today's daily record, solo album by the Beatles, Paul McCartney. Like, comment, subscribe. What do you think about new? Let me know down below. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's TommyBurton75. Love interacting with you guys. In the meantime, I'll see you all again tomorrow with another daily record.